Oh, it's the spring match game.
I don't know how we're going to do this because we don't even know what the format is.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it.
Look, there's ways to do that. I did some research on last year's spring game a couple days ago, and we can pull some stuff out. It's not all going to be stats and whatnot. But let's get into it. I'm excited to see our guy Kyle McCord sling the rock around.
So am I.
Before they just run the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust for the first 4 games of the season. Justin Lamson threw 2 touchdowns last season before transferring to Stanford. How many is Kyle McCord going to toss tomorrow night?
I mean, as Paulie said, this is kind of impossible because we don't really know how they're going to do that. I was going to say 2 as well. I mean, that number kind of pops into my head, but we don't really know what the format is. We heard Fran Brown say they're going to play really hard for the first half, so it sounds like they're going to play like an actual game for the first half, and then we don't really know what's going to happen in the second half.
Okay.
I have volunteered to stand in front of Kyle McCord as the last line of defense.
I have good news, Steve. If you're wrong,
nobody will
it's not
know.
punishable by death.
2. I'll say 2.
I'm going to go with 2 as well.
Whoa!
Now, I know the spring game is where we learn about some new guys, but I assume everyone's going to go out there. LaQuint Allen had 11 touches in last year's spring game. How many touches you think RB1 is going to get tomorrow?
So when you say touches, you're including pass catches.
Carries.
5.
I'm going to go... I was going to say 12.
Ooh.
Whoa, no.
No, you don't think so?
No, 5 and out.
Okay.
See, I don't think they're going to be running the ball up the middle a lot. I think they might give him a few carries. I'm thinking like 4, to be honest. Maybe a catch and a few carries, then see what the backups have. All right, Oronde Gadsden, Jackson Meeks, both out. They are both recovering from some lower body injuries.
So
That's
am
what
I.
they say in hockey. Who do you think leads in receiving yards? You've got some options.
The
Zeed
field.
Haynes, the field. Zeed Haynes, the freshman transfer. Trevor Pena's been getting talked about.
Yeah, I
a
like
lot.
that one, Pena.
Well, I was going to say we have some intel on this because we spoke with Fran Brown the other day and we said, give us a guy who we should be looking out for. And that was the one guy he mentioned was Trevor Pena. So I feel like he has to be the answer to one of our questions.
Hatcher's been a spring game demon.
I'm going to go with the coach. The coach says Trevor Pena. I'll say Trevor Pena.
That is good value because he could go
He's
long.
fast, yeah.
I kind of like Zeed Haynes because he's a freshman transfer coming in. He has a lot to prove. I think he's going to go out there and try to make an impact and get some reps this season.
Did you put a question in here? Blank will be the player that Syracuse fans irrationally love because of his spring game performance.
No, but we can do that.
Braden Davis.
He's been taking reps at wideout.
I know.
Oh, that's a good one. Carlos Del Rio Wilson could make a huge jump because he threw 4 touchdowns in the spring game.
The thing is, the line. I don't think you can choose anybody from the line.
No, it's got to be a skill position player.
Yeah, it does.
I'm going Carlos Del Rio Wilson because he's going to come out and sling it around in the second half, and everybody's going to be like, boo, McCord.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Come on, this is Syracuse. You always got to be prepared
Give
for
me defense. So this isn't irrational, but if you remember, Deuce Chestnut had 1 pass breakup in the 2022 spring game, and he sallied it. He sub-zeroed it. I think Deuce Chestnut's going to go out there, try to get the fans excited with a big play in his return, and everybody's going to be like, cornerback 1, he's back. Because if you remember his second year with Syracuse, people were kind of unhappy with some of the coverage.
Oh, and then 12,000 fans can bring back Deuce.
There will be blank turnovers in the spring game.
2.
I had 3 in my head.
I kind of like 3 as well. I think they'll all be picks. If you fumble in the spring game, you might be getting cut. All right, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Blank players will announce they are transferring out of Syracuse within 1 week of the spring game. I bring this up because we saw Justin Lamson perform well, and then he went to Stanford. There's also high-profile recruits visiting, some who already have verbal commits. But how many guys do you see transferring out within a week of the spring game?
I'm going to say 0.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 3.
So I think with a coaching change, if you were going to make that decision, you would have already in my opinion, you would have made that decision already.
I think the spring game kind of finalizes where you stand, though.
That's what I think. Yeah, like if a guy does well in the spring game and Fran's like, hey, like
Yeah,
you got outplayed, man.
Maybe. We'll see.
I'm going to go 1. I don't know who it is, but I'm going to go 1. Now, on the flip side, shout out Dom, who's been posting this on his Twitter, friend of the program, Dom, the mailman. Over under 2.5 recruits or transfers landed within 48 hours of the spring game. They love bringing guys to watch the action and try to get a commit that weekend.
I don't know. 4.
I just said over under 2.5.
Yeah.
I made this
That's
one easy.
over. Over 4.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I know they've got a lot of guys on campus, so sure, I'll go over as well.
Why am I doubting this guy at this point?
Right.
Dom's under has hit the last 2 weeks, but there have been a lot of guys who visited last weekend who there hasn't been anything official yet. They might be waiting for this. I'm going over. Here's my final question for you guys. No Destination, also friends of the program, have said they confirmed there are 10 to 15K expected.
Tori Ball said that on our show last night.
Yes.
Yeah, we asked Tori Ball. He said there's that many tickets out,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
He just
over
said
10,000 claimed.
right.
How many?
So are they going to, I think the question is, will they get over 10,000?
Well, my
Bodies.
question was, there will be blank thousand fans at the spring game.
15.
Wow. You think so?
Yeah.
Like
Might deserve
actual
a
people
woe in
there?
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, actual people.
Well, no, I mean,
No,
he
they're
said
fake people.
He talked about tickets being out,
Holograms.
right?
Yes.
So are they going to announce
No, I
the
do. I
tickets
think
that are out?
I think they are, and this kind of brings me to, I think the Ohio game's going to sell out.
I think there's a good chance of that. I mean, there's less seats again. Yeah, I actually like that pick a lot about the Ohio game.
I think this is going to be around 15, and I think that game's going to sell out.
You're squandering future match game.
But it happened with Greg Robinson. You remember that?
It
That
did,
kid
yeah.
was
I remember
crazy.
that kid was awful. What
Only
a
about
horrible game.
6,000 at that spring game. So this is like a new level. I'm going to go 12.
Yeah,
I'm not going
that's-
quite to 15.
That's what I was going to say, too. I was going to say 12.
All right. I know we're a little behind. We got to do worst brackets. So
Oh, yes.
that
Let's
can
wait.
only
We
take-
got to make time for
we can
worst.
only-
I mean,
worst
I have a
bracket.
question for you.
We had a closest matchup ever. We had a buzzer beater.
Okay. We have a guest at 1. If you want one more question, like what
Sure.
is one thing you could actually see on the field at the spring game that you would leave and be like, oh, this is good. I feel a little more comfortable now.
Everybody's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think just Kyle McCord throwing a football and throwing a tight spiral to somebody will be worth the price of admission. I realize there's no price
And
to
then
admission.
get him
but You get my point. I think seeing him throw the football is going to get a lot of people excited.
My 2 things, I want to see no drops, and I do not want to see any defensive lineman break through and two-hand touch McCord for a sack. I need this offensive line to go out and prove it when you know that especially the defense will likely be a little less physical.
I'm pitching this to Fran Brown like I did to Dino Babers last year. Syracuse is up 14 in any game. Kyle McCord's out. Spring game, you get 2 passes. You're out.
All right, we got to hit a timeout here because I got to find out about this worst song bracket history that was made yesterday.
I don't know if it was history. It was just a close game.
You said closest game ever.
It came to my attention. Somebody
It's not
I
blown
know
out of proportion.
Somebody I know
This
was trying to
stupid
give away
bracket.
spring game tickets on Facebook yesterday, and there was a comment that said, how much? So I'm going to say it again. The tickets are free. Tell your friends who don't go to the games often for whatever reason that they're free. If people don't know it's free by now, that's an issue. Go on out tomorrow. Hit up the lacrosse game first. Let's get it.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. We'll wrap up hour number 1 next on ESPN Radio.